Yeah. Wake up with coffee and sports. Sunrise glow, listen coast to coast. A flow like you know.
Offensively, who made them? Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Sideline to sideline with plays to show. This network's got the spark.
When you put up 300 yards rushing against someone, that you got your butt whooped.
I feel like I would have liked to see Oregon, Ohio State in the semis, not the quarters. So I think some reseeding is probably where I would change. But
they're out of their mind. They're going to do this 3 quarterbacks in a row.
Here's the crazy.
I just can't take it.
Birds keep flying high, fans cheering loud, and one podcast moving through the crowd. Needy boys brawling, no holds barred bout. This wire life never in doubt. Tune into the vibe.
That's my bold prediction for the show. Devin Booker, in the next 3 years, he will be a Houston Rocket.
Because I still think Seth is still at the top of his game. I do. I think he's right there. Who knows? Maybe. Not this year, but one time soon. Why wouldn't we potentially see Seth and Roman? You know what I mean?
Tune in the vibe. Party Rex, good setters. Got me on the mic, now let's spill the tea. Talking courtside dreams from history. Legends on the blacktop now and then. From Will to Steph, we hit it again. Both better chimes in, let's go deep. Young blood's rising, can't skip a beat. Puppy prospects with fire in their eyes. Draft night suckers and hoop dream highs. Wire to wire, bring the heat. Podcast magic can't be beat. Do better, but roll better. Or who cares? Trendsetters.
What's poppin', y'all? It is your boy, Guard E3, and welcome to the And One podcast. I'm glad you like our new little commercial we played. He loves Gene going off his rocker. Absolutely fair enough. Guys, we got plenty to talk about this week, and no shortage of content. But first, let me introduce to you the guy who probably loved the trade deadline more than anybody that you will know. Resident Lakers fan, he is Mo Better. How you doing, Mo?
It's time to talk some hoops. It's Thursday night. It's N1. And yeah, look, who would not love getting a 25-year-old superstar with everything ahead of them? So, of course, I'm hyped for it. But I'm realistic. I think the Lakers have a puncher's chance. When you have a puncher's chance, it means you could get the right matchup and make a deep playoff run, or you get knocked out in the first round. I think that's where they're at. Starting with the fact that they're a middle of the road. They were a middle of the road defensive team with AD. What do you think they're going to be now?
I told a lot of people this, and I'll say it here too. I think the Luka trade is great for this year, but I think the real move is wait till next year when they can actually spend the offseason building a team around Luka and LeBron and to their strengths and skill sets. So I think some people are, I think they're being overhyped.
Right.
Overhyping them, but it's also kind of funny because I see guys on Twitter like Stat Muse. They posted a thing like comparing Max Christie and Luka's stats in the first 2 games. I'm like, don't do that. That's just going to make you look stupid down the line. The one's a generational talent. The other's like a really solid basketball player.
Yeah, and good for Max Christie. I like his game. I hope that he continues to find his NBA role and be a productive player for the Mavs. But don't compare his early numbers to Luka's early numbers, because eventually Luka's going to look like Luka the superstar, and he's going to be doing 35, 10, and 10. You're not going to have Max Christie's numbers up then. So I would just tell everybody, relax.
No, absolutely. But you know how we start this out, Mo? We got to start out with some underrated player of the week, or it could be a team, a person. Mo, do you got an underrated player for this week?
You know what? I think I'm going to go my underrated player for the week. I'm going to say Anthony Davis. And I know AD's just got injured and might be out about a month. But I think that too many people feel like he was like a throw-in because the other team got Luka. I just want to remind everybody this is an all NBA two-way player who's an elite defender on the other end of the floor and can get you 25 to 30 on a given night with 12 or 15 boards. He's not a throw-in. I think Anthony Davis gets underappreciated because LeBron James casts a huge shadow. And as gifted as Anthony Davis is, sometimes he gets lost in the sauce. But you can make a fair argument that the year they won the title in the bubble, AD could have been finals MVP. That's how well he played. So I just want to shout out AD. I think he's a terrific two-way player. And once he's healthy, along with Gafford and Lively, Dallas, I think Dallas has the potential to make a good run. I don't see them as a title contender. I'm on the other side of that. A lot of people think Dallas is a title contender. I just think they're a contender. But I don't blame that on AD. You and I talked about this, Brett. Take Kyrie out of the equation. Who else can create their own shot when the offense is locked down? Who's the guy that can make something out of nothing? They only have one of those. They have one shot creator, and that's going to rear its head in the postseason when everything's about half court execution.
No, absolutely fair enough.
Sorry about the rant.
No, you're good. You're good. Always love it. And say these are always so tough, but I think you know what? I think I'm gonna go with my own franchise icon and shout out my boy Chris Middleton, who I think I could literally do this on Chris Middleton every single week for the next year and a half and probably forever, and it would work because of just how perennially good he was in his prime, helping lead the Milwaukee Bucks to an NBA title. And even the following year, like, he was amazing, and then he slipped on a wet spot game 2 against the Bulls in Milwaukee. That image will forever haunt me of watching Chris just go down, and little did we know that just kind of almost ended his tenure as a Buck as we know it. But I'll use this time to shout out my boy in a more calm manner, unlike last week, Chris Middleton, and good luck in Washington.
That's a good one. Chris Middleton. In many ways, I remember a lot of times, Brett, Chris Middleton being the Bucks closer at times. I think he's an underrated scorer, underrated defender. He just makes winning plays and timely shots. And wherever he lands, I know he's on the Wizards now. I hope that eventually they buy him out and he gets an opportunity to compete again for a contender.
I think they will. I think they're going to hold on to him to just kind of develop the young guys for the rest of the year. And I think this offseason, we'll see it again. We'll see him again. He'll probably get moved to a contender. I already made this stupid, bold prediction because it just makes almost too much sense, which I'm going to hate, by the way. I said that I already hate that I'm going to do this, but the Celtics go get Chris Middleton.
Wow.
And because I think you can get him for probably decently cheap on a pretty good deal. And I think it's going to be kind of a bigger move for them. At the end of the day, like, Jaylen Brown is fantastic, but I think that they're going to kind of almost do it to get closer to getting Giannis. I think you could. Go get Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, get guys that he really likes. And I understand the talent of someone like Jaylen Brown, but maybe if this year goes to crap, or the year after that, Giannis asks out, and you have a chance to get him, I could see the Celtics moving a couple of those big contracts to try to bring him in, and having someone like Chris and Drew there would make that infinitely easier for him.
No, I don't think that's impossible. But I guess on the other side of it, if you're the Bucks, are you trading him where he wants to go out of respect for what he did for your franchise, or are you going to look for the best deal you can get?
You know what? I think if you're the Bucks, you just kind of do right by Giannis. It's a situation where he's already done so much. He's already the greatest player in our franchise's history, and that's a history with guys like Kareem, and that's saying a lot. I think after everything he's done for us, I think in the end, like, if you trade him for an absolute haul to like the Oklahoma City Thunder, I get it. But I think that we should definitely prioritize doing right by Giannis, and wherever he wants to go, let's make it happen.
Question real quick. If you guys do decide to move on from Giannis, I'm assuming if you're moving on from Giannis, just by default, you're going to move on from Dame as well.
Yeah. At that point, if you move Giannis, fire sale, take everybody, rebuild, amass as many picks, and let's get this rebuild started. And John has a question. You think the trade chaos with Connect will affect him? Got traded out of nowhere to go to a crappy team to, oh, wait, I'm back. Wonder how long this time? I think it already almost has.
Yeah, it has to. He's human. You drafted me in the first round. Everybody, and he's had an up and down season, but rookies do. LeBron was singing his praises, as were others, and then you trade him, and then the trade is rescinded, and he comes back. How is he supposed to feel in that locker? Because it's not like you want him. You know what I mean? You're kind of stuck with him, right?
Yeah, it's almost like the kiss of death when LeBron praises you. That normally means like a trade is on the horizon. It almost feels like anytime you hear him praise somebody, you're just like, he's gone.
Yeah.
I see you trying to boost that trade value, Bron. You're not slick.
And
I would move Cam Reddish for like a bag of chips from the 7-Eleven gas station on the corner. Like,
I don't think he's hard to move. I just think he's hard. It's hard. Let me rephrase that. I don't think he's hard to get rid of. The question would be who wants him. Cam Reddish what is he in year 5 now? Is it 5 or 6?
Yeah. He was like he was the year after Luka, so I think he was like 2019 or 2018.
Didn't he come out with Barrett and Zion? Didn't they?
Yeah,
he was in that same class, and
he was involved in the Luka trade because they traded the pick to get Cam Reddish in that trade.
Right. So everybody thought all the pundits thought outside of Zion, they thought Cam Reddish was the second best player in the draft. They thought Cam Reddish was going to be a star. I saw talent, but you know how that goes. I had no idea what he was going to be, and he's 5 years in, and he's still living off potential. I think he is what he is. He's not even like he's not like a star role player. He's a rotation player at best. So, yeah, I think the Lakers could move on from him. Sadly, though, he's actually one of their better defenders. We don't have a lot of good perimeter defenders.
So with this, the difference is Ben Simmons was bought out then signed.
Right.
I don't think a team's giving up assets for Cam Reddish.
No.
Obviously, I was joking that I would trade him for a bag of chips from 7-Eleven. That's a little over-exaggerating, but I think he's got some potential in all reality as a strong defender, knocked down a couple threes. But I don't think a team's actually going to part ways. Like, yeah, I'll give you even a second for Cam Reddish. I don't even know if they'll give like a protected second for Cam Reddish.
No,
I think he's a guy who next year you'll see him get picked up in free agency. But I just don't see the team that's going to give up an asset for him. And don't worry, this is coming up, by the way. We'll be talking about the 76ers soon.
Oh, yeah.
But I got to admit, I've been slacking, and I figured it's been too long. And Giannis and the Bucks store is closed and will be closed for the next 2 years. I hope not, but I know what, I can't blame you for saying that. Of course, it's time to bring back puppy prospects. I've been slacking. I'm old. I'm tired. I just, it kept getting pushed to the back burner, but it's back. It's here to stay. I'll make sure to be bringing prospects for you every week. But not only NBA prospects, let's start out bringing WNBA prospects. And the first one wanted to bring up, if anybody doesn't know, this is the first pick in the WNBA draft. Paige Buckets or Paige Beckers, UConn. Just an absolute demon. For a good fit, I have the Dallas Wings, and I have that as the only team. Now, the only reason is they have the first pick, and I don't see Paige falling past 1. She would be a great fit for any single team in the WNBA. I don't think that's a question. But obviously, this is the number 1 pick. And when we're talking about Paige, I kind of laid out the pros and cons of her game here for you guys. I think she's a defensive playmaker, but, it's one of those things that will it translate to the next level is always a question. Already has an injury history. She doesn't generate a ton of free throws and can be passive. On the flip side, 3-level score, elite shooter, pretty much from every level, very quick processing speed, and she's great in the pick and roll. So I wanted to start off easy with the WNBA. Shout out Paige Beckers. I cannot wait to see what she does in the W next year.
Let's not forget that in late game situations, she's a big shot taker and maker. She's got incredible intangibles, natural leader. If Dallas is smart enough to draft she will turn around their franchise. She has that kind of impact. I think she will establish herself early in her WNBA career.
And I think that Dallas could go from one of those teams that goes from worst to playoffs. Like, I think you put defenders around her and Enrique, that's going to be a deadly offensive duo. That this team could be absolutely fun right out of the gate. So I'm looking forward. I'm definitely going to be watching them on League Pass because I genuinely don't know who else they would go at one if it's not Paige. And then, man, I wish our boy Cottrell was in here, by the way. Shout out Cottrell, college genius. And for the men's side, I'm going to spotlight VJ Edgecombe this week. For my player comp for this guy, I got Victor Oladipo. And obviously I'm talking prime Victor. This is a guy, he's very disruptive defensively as well. He's very comfortable off the ball. He's a very good off-ball cutter. He's a very good three-point shooter since the start of the new year. And this is, by the way, that 38% is overcoming a start where from January till the end of December, he was a 30% three-point shooter. And then he's really cranked it up in the new year. So I guess you can kind of also add that to pros, cons. It's a streaky shooter. Speed and athleticism are very good. But at the same time, when we're talking about half-court work, he's very athletic and can dunk. But if he's not dunking, his finishing gets really questionable. Ball handling is also questionable. You can stuff him. And he can be overwhelmed with size. He's 6'5", but he's a small 6'5". He doesn't look 6'5". He more looks 6'4", 6'3". I'd say he almost looks more 6'4", but at the end of the day, with this guy, he's an absolute dog. He doesn't give up on plays, and that speed and athleticism is going to help him overcome a lot coming into the league. For good fits, I got the Pelicans, Hornets, and Wizards. Teams that have ball handlers that can kind of help, ease him into the league rather than putting the ball in his hands right away and just letting him go to work.
Is there any way he could skip those three teams?
I don't think so.
I'm just trying to set him up for success. That's all.
BJ is Russell Westbrook 2.0 or a Donovan Mitchell.
If he's anywhere in that mix between Oladipo, Russ, and D. Mitch, he's gonna be a bad man.
Yeah, I think I can see that on a high end being like a Donovan Mitchell. I felt comfortable with Oladipo, and that's almost what I thought too, though, Mo. Any way we can kind of get him past these teams.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
At the end of the day, the talent's too good. I don't see anybody passing up on this guy. So, but those are my prospects I'm going to highlight this week, and I'll be bringing some more every week. We can have some, fun college prospects talk. If there's any prospects you want to see a spotlight, just let us know.
You just gave me a good idea. So, you think he's probably top 3?
Yeah, I think he at worst falls to 4, but I don't think he falls out of the top 4.
Okay, but let's assume top 3, top 4.
Okay.
OKC has 1,000 picks. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it doesn't benefit them to just sit on them, and they can afford to give them all up, right? Plus maybe a player or two. If he's what they say he is, why wouldn't Sam Presti look to pursue him and make a juggernaut into an even bigger juggernaut?
You know what's funny about that too, Mo? The Thunder could have a lottery pick in this year's draft too. So if anybody doesn't know, the Philadelphia 76ers first round pick is top 6 protected. If it falls 7 or later, that's the Thunder's pick. So the Thunder could get the luckiest thing ever and have that pick be like number 7, and then they can use that to trade up to get someone like BJ.
You know the Sixers' luck. It's going to be like number 8 or something like that.
That's why I'm not doubting it. The Sixers just have the worst luck in the league this year. Which,
They do.
You know, I'm glad they won a Super Bowl.
I
really am.
I said that today. I said, look, to my Philly friends out there, look, you can relish in this Super Bowl moment, celebrate the parade. Valentine's Day is on Friday as well, because you don't have a lot to think about going forward. Like, really, the next time hope is around the corner is when the Phillies hit training camp, right? Like, we're pretty much skipping over the Sixers.
So we're going to come back to this. John said, should the Sixers move on from Embiid, played as many games as he missed?
Yes, I've been saying that, John. I'm with you.
I even made it. Yeah, same. John, I even made a little poster for you just for that exact thing. Now, I'm going to start with, PG-8. Refuse to call him PG-13. Now, this is interesting, Mo. Did you see the news with Paul George that came out today?
No.
I'm going to pull this up real quick because it is wild.
No, go ahead.
Like, what was reported today? But I got to pull it up real quick. But
is this the news about he's taking shots to play?
Yes, they literally have to give him like cortisone shots before every single game to get him to play because he's in so much pain.
All right, well, let me put this out there. It's not working. It's not working. Maybe it's helping with the pain, but it ain't helping his game. If you've invested $200 million in Paul George and you want to get the best out of your investment, this is my thinking. I'm shutting him down for the rest of this season. And let's be clear, if you're the Sixers, you kind of want that pick to stay in the top 5. You know how that would help? You shut down Paul George. At some point, going off of the conversation he had with Lisa Salters, you shut down Embiid too. Embiid said he got to have another surgery, and it's going to be a lengthy recovery. Like, if you're Daryl Morey, Daryl, you have to trade Embiid this offseason and build around Maxey. For the last, you're stuck with Paul George. You're stuck with Paul George, but if you want the best version of him, you better shut him down for the rest of the season.
And also, you don't want to sit there, loading them up with cortisone shots because there's a reason why teams will only do that in like important playoff games. Over time, one of the, cons of cortisone shots is that they can weaken tendons and ligaments if you do too many of them. So,
right.
They'll give you that short-term relief, but, you are just kind of tanking your own long-term investment by doing this. Because now Paul George is already not very durable. And if you're just loading him up with cortisone and weakening his tendons and legs, what's going to happen next year? He's just going to fall apart again. And it's just going to progressively get worse. So to me, learning that, it's over. It's over. It's done. Shut it down.
Shut him down.
Let's get PG and Embiid next year. In return, keep your pick this year. This is a loaded draft class. The Thunder really don't need any more prospects.
Right.
Get that prospect for yourself. You have a real chance to add a blue chip prospect with Tyrese Maxey and Paul George. And even if you keep Embiid, adding a blue chip prospect next to all those guys, great. Losing it because you're trying to get to the play-in to get absolutely smoked in the first round if you make it out of the play-in, not worth it. Just keep your pick, man.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. I know people hate using the word tank, but look at the Sixers record. Look at Embiid's health, Paul George's health. This is a lost season. You are going to push them to the limit to try to make the play-in. There's no benefit in that. None at all. You've invested over $200 million in Paul George. Embiid's on a max deal. You shut it down. And look, at some point late in the year, you probably shut Maxey down too because he's your future. it's look, Daryl Morey likes to make short-term band-aid moves. He needs to think long-term. Play your young players, play guys that are on expiring contracts. This is a lot. Maybe you find another diamond in a rough like Yabusele, who I think's proven he's a terrific rotation player. But why risk the long-term health of Paul George? Why, whether Embiid gets healthy or not, I think any GM worth his salt, knowing the history with Joel Embiid, you'd be a fool to not trade him first chance you get.
What teams would give up a few of their pieces? It's funny because I still think there's a lot of teams that'd be willing to give up pieces for Embiid. Even the banged up version of Embiid is still a very good basketball player, and a healthy Embiid is still an MVP caliber basketball player. So I think that if you get a Godfather offer this year, or now the riskier play is if you're looking to trade Embiid, hold on to the roster, hold on to him, let him play, rebuild his value, let him play at an MVP level for a month, then trade him. But obviously that's risky because of his injury history. But in terms of teams that would be willing to give up pieces for Embiid, I think pretty much anybody that can realistically make the salary work. Like, I still think he's a sought-after commodity. You're just not going to get the offer that you would have gotten if you tried to move him last year.
No, agreed. I think there are no shortage of teams that would put together a package to try to acquire Embiid. Look, if you have the cap space and you think you have some talent that you can retain in an Embiid deal, I would say pursue it. If you're the Sixers, you're not even I don't think you're looking to get back players. You're looking to get back picks because you're trying to build for the future around Maxey and company. Look, let's assume they shut him down at some point. He gets healthy well before training camp next year. I don't even think you have to play him. Everybody knows his skill set. If he's healthy, you're getting a guy that can drop 28 points, 13, 14 boards, and 4 or 5 assists. You're getting an all-NBA center. The only question is who would pursue him. I'm with you. I think there are a lot of teams that still value him. He's not a young kid anymore, but I think he's just turned 30, so he's not an old man. It really depends on your comfort. And we just talked about trades and medicals. You look into the medicals, and if the medicals look good to your staff going forward, you go for it.
You know, it's funny. We're who would trade for him? Mo. Hey, let's be one of the fun teams that probably comes to mind for me right away, and it's not really fun, but it just is right in their DNA. The Phoenix Suns desperately need a center. The challenge is finding a third team to offload that Bradley Beal contract and convincing him to leave. But I think that that's more plausible after the year rather than at the deadline. Like, convincing him to pack up and move, like, over a span of 2 weeks rather than having months to attempt to do it. Like, you have a lot more time. So if Embiid becomes available, I wouldn't be shocked if Bradley Beal became available, except this time you have months to figure out a deal. This isn't like you have to rush. So I could see the Suns being serious players for Embiid if he becomes available. Well, and then
let's not forget, look, I'm saying what I would do. I'm not a GM. You're not a GM. If I had to look into the mind of Daryl Morey the way Daryl Morey thinks, my guess is, knowing Daryl Morey, if Embiid gets healthy and Daryl Morey deems him to be 100%, he's not going to trade him. He's going to think we're about to make a title run because Embiid's healthy, Paul George is healthy, Maxey's back. Like, I get how Daryl Morey thinks, but Joel Embiid's injury history says more than likely, even once he's healthy, he's going to get injured again.
No, absolutely. And, speaking of a different subject, Mo, there's times where it's always fun to talk to people. It's always fun to talk, but sometimes people got to know when to shut up. And I think our friends over in Dallas just need to shut up about the Luka trade. Mavericks owner Patrick Dermont came out with this quote. If you look at the greats in the league, the people you and I grew up with, Jordan, Bird, Kobe, Shaq, they worked really hard every day with a singular focus to win, and if you don't have that, it doesn't work. You shouldn't be a part of the Dallas Mavericks. Now, there's a name in there that sticks out, but I'm not going to tell you what name sticks out, and I'm sure you guys know already. I'm going to let Kobe Bryant tell you what name sticks out. I would have had 12 effing rings if Shaq wasn't lazy. I just don't get it, Mo. Like, how do you make this comment and you nail it out of the park? Like, yes, Jordan, absolutely. Bird, okay. Kobe, Shaq? Like, obviously Shaq worked hard. He's an all-time great. But you're trying to talk about guys who live, breathe basketball and winning every single day? Like, Shaq's laziness was documented. I'm not saying he didn't work hard, but you can't put Shaq on the level of Jordan and Bird. That almost, and Kobe in terms of work ethic. I think that just kind of nuked his entire statement here.
No, I'm with you. Look, I lived through Shaq and Kobe from the beginning to the end, and I appreciate everything Shaq did as a member of the Lakers. You can't take away the fact over a 3-year period, he was the most dominant player maybe in NBA history in that 3-year period. 3 trips to the finals, 3 finals MVPs, just and the numbers were just insanely dominant across the board. But Shaq could be lazy. It's crazy to say. Look, the reason why whenever they talk about the GOAT or that particular conversation, Shaq gets a little nuts because his name never gets mentioned. But his name never gets mentioned because he was lazy. He could have been more. He could have done more. That's the scary part. I'm talking about a guy that won back-to-back finals MVPs, and I'm telling you he could have done more. Think about this. As dominant, as overpowering as Shaquille O'Neal was, the man never led the NBA in rebounding once. Not once. You know why? Because rebounding is about effort. And Shaq didn't give you a second or third effort. I know I think they put him second team all NBA defense like 2 or 3 times. That was just out of kindness. Shaq was a horrible defender. He was. I witnessed it firsthand. He was a horrible defender. We played drop coverage all the time. We had no choice because he couldn't play in space defensively. Now, granted, I had the more polished version of him in LA. The more athletic version of him played in Orlando. Maybe that Shaq would have been a better defender, but I digress. You can't make the statements that Dumont make and include Shaq in that group. I can make an argument, whatever you think of Luka's work ethic, it's about the same as Shaq's, at least. So and remember, they're killing Luka, but I want to remind everybody, that guy that they're saying is lazy and culture and out of shape, that's the same guy that just took you to the finals. I'm not here to debate whether or not Luka could be in better condition. I think we all agree on that. But I've been hearing year after year people say Joker could be in better position, and Joker's he's right there on the verge of winning his 4th MVP. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right with that, and it's weird, right? Because he wants to mention Shaq too, when in all reality, like, aren't Luka and Shaq almost similar in terms of like how they approach the season? You come in a little heavier, and then you just kind of slowly ramp it up throughout the season. You really whip into shape towards the end, so that in the playoffs you're your absolute best version. We saw that every single year so far with Luka, including last year. I know people were blasting his defense, but by the time he got to the finals, he was dealing with a lot of nagging injuries. Could he have done better on defense? Yeah, sure, but the reality is he still got them to that point. This is a team that they were supposed to lose to the Thunder until they didn't. The Timberwolves already were in the finals, apparently, when they beat the Nuggets, until they weren't, and they ran into Luka Doncic. So I think at the end of the day, the best thing for Nico Harrison, Patrick, and everybody over there to do, just let it go, man. You already did the thing. Everybody hates you for it. No amount of explaining is going to help you, and bad explanations like that are only going to make things worse. Just kind of go dark on this one. Just ignore what people are saying about you if you really, and don't let it bother you. That's really all you can do at this point.
I'm with you, partner. My message to Dallas Mavericks management and brass: let the thing be the thing. You've already made the trade. Rather than dwell on it and keep talking about it, just talk about your current roster and what you think they're going to be able to accomplish once they're whole again, and stay in that lane.
I did get a kick out of Markieff Morris talking about the trade. He gets the call, I got traded, and he goes, "Man, who wants me? I haven't played in like 3 years." And
That's funny.
John has a question for you, Mo. Thoughts on the Lakers were close to getting Jericho Sims, waited too long and got Alex Len. Happy, upset, needle don't move either way?
Because we missed out. I like Jericho Sims. I think he's really athletic. I believe your Bucks got him.
We did. We have.
So I'm jealous. I kind of wanted him because I thought he would have been a terrific lob threat for Luka, LeBron. So we missed out on him. Look, Alex Len. No, he does not. If the needle is moving, Alex Len makes it stop moving. He didn't do anything. He doesn't make us better. He actually makes me hope that Jackson Hayes stays healthy. So it's a move, but it's not. I think it's a move more to say that you have two big bodies, right? That's what it's a move for. Do I think Alex Len is going to play major minutes? God, I hope not. I hope not. I saw him last night against Utah, and he looked like the Alex Len I remember. So look, he looks so bad that it might be worth the phone call to call Dwight Howard. It might be worth it. That's how bad Alex Len looked. Look, let me keep it 100. Brett and I were talking before the show started. To be clear, with Anthony Davis, an elite rim protector, defender, the Lakers were a middle-of-the-road defensive team. So I'm not putting this on Alex Len. They're just not going to be a good defensive team. They're not. And it's because they're not going to be good defensively and not that good on the boards. I don't see them making it to the conference finals. Now, they could prove me wrong, but the only way they can do that is they max out the fact that they get the right matchups and somebody knocks off teams that are bad matchups for them. Like, if the Lakers were to draw the Nuggets, it's over. It's over. Season's over.
The funny thing, trade him for Jeremy Lin at this point. Why not?
Hey, I said that too. I said that on the morning show. On the morning show, they said, "Are you mad about Alex Lin?" I said, "I'd rather have Jeremy Lin." Yeah, I said that.
By the way, the funniest thing I heard about Alex Len, Kendrick Perkins, he goes, "I have a message for Alex Len fans. Let's see what LeBron can do with them." And my brain already stopped working at the first sentence. Like, Alex Len fans? How big of a fan base do you think this guy has? Are you just talking to like his 5 family members? Like, I like Alex Len.
I'm not knocking him, but I think a lot of people don't remember. Alex Len was a high draft pick.
Yeah,
I believe he was a lottery pick. He never really, he never really panned out for that, and he's been kind of a journeyman. Look, as a Laker fan, selfishly, I would love to see the best version of him, and he helped the Lakers go on a deep playoff run. Realistically, as an NBA fan, I can only go off your body of work. Your body of work says you're not going to have much impact.
Yeah, he showed some real potential in 2019, but of course that was 6 years ago. That was like the 1 year where he actually started shooting threes out of nowhere and was pretty good at it. And that kind of disappeared in Sacramento, just hasn't been seen since. He was a 5th overall pick. Yeah, no.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, it's a move. They had to get another big man. I think they'll stagger their minutes. they're depending on their matchups, the Lakers might go somewhat small, depending on the matchups, because there's really outside of Joker, OKC's got a big front line when they have Chet and they have Hartenstein. That's a big front line. And obviously when they're healthy, Dallas has a big front line. But other than that, I mean, Rudy's big with Minnesota, but they're not as big because they don't have Towns anymore. So I don't think Minnesota's the team that they were last year, obviously, because Randall and Ant are like water and oil. It just doesn't work. So
Minnesota makes me mad because they don't make me mad per se. I'm gonna say the weirdest sounding thing ever, I'll explain it in a minute. Minnesota makes me mad because they just had to lose to the Bucks in the way that they fucking did yesterday. And the reason why that makes me mad, so after the trade deadline, it was so funny because I was like, okay, I'll give Kuz a fair shot. I'll see what he can do because he was a positive player at one point with the Lakers. So I'm like, okay, maybe he can refine that form. I'm not expecting to be Chris, but maybe he can make a positive impact in ways that Chris couldn't. And he has the first two games. Like Jericho Sims, I like that. I really like that a lot. Can't wait for him to get minutes. There's one trade that I hated so much more than anything. Kevin Porter Jr. for Marjon Beauchamp. Because I said it before, I'll say it again. Kevin Porter Jr. is not a good basketball player. He's the fakest basketball player. He's that guy that looks good because he puts up those really good numbers on really bad teams. He's an inefficient scorer. His defense is not good, and he doesn't look to play make very often. And he did come out, and he had a nice stretch at the end of the game where he did hit a tough shot over Gobert. People say to win the game, but it was to tie the game. But still, great shot that he hit. Brooke ended up getting fouled, and he won the game later with free throws, but KPJ did tie the game. But no, now I got people mentioning at me like, oh, look, Kevin Porter Jr. is actually a good basketball player. Look at that little floater he hit over Gobert. Like, I'm not going to let one game, or more specifically, because he wasn't that great for the first three quarters. Like, he's still a sieve on defense. I'm not going to let one shot change what I've seen from this kid for like 5 years now. He's an inefficient volume shooter who's not a good defender, and he doesn't look to play make often. Sure, he will get you occasionally like 4 or 5 assists out of nowhere, and he'll even average 5 assists a game for a year, but at the end of the day, he's not a winning basketball player. And I think that's something that Bucks fans will find out like right towards the end. When it's an important game and you're looking for him to contribute, that is where I think I'll get the told you so laugh at the end, because you think he's a good backup point guard, it's not going to go that well. Trust me.
I'll say this. I think if you're Kevin Porter Jr. and his agent, you realize that I believe this is his third or fourth stop. When the stops when they start piling up, you start cherishing the opportunities. Maybe he realized that this could be his last stop, and he focuses a little bit more. Maybe Giannis, Dame, their professionalism, Brooks' professionalism rubs off on him a little bit, and they get the best version of him. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it could. Leadership does matter. He hasn't really been around a lot of great leaders in his NBA career, so I'm just putting it out there. No, go ahead.
No, and I hope I'm wrong. I don't want my team to do bad. I want the Bucks to do well, but I don't think he's a good backup point guard, and I don't think it happens. But please prove me wrong. I hope you do. I hope last night wasn't just a one-off. I hope it happens again the next night. You hit big shots, and the night after that. But all I'm saying is maybe the better situation will change him. That's something I acknowledged yesterday. But it's going to take more than one strong, possession and maybe one stronger game from him to change my opinion on him.
Sure. And I agree. I don't think he's a point guard either. I think he's a two guard who has the ability to be a facilitator, but he's not a point. He's not a natural point guard. So, yeah, look, the kid has talent. Maybe Milwaukee is just what he needs, being that pressure cooker on a team that's a contender. It might bring out the best version of him. Oh, and as far as John's questions, which teams have played better than I thought? Automatically, first name out of my mouth, Detroit. I came into this season saying that Cade Cunningham had one mission coming into this year. That's bring the franchise back to respectability. They've far exceeded that. They're on pace to make the playoffs, but it's absolutely Detroit. They play lights out. Houston has been impressive. I still worry about what they'll do in the postseason when it's about half court execution and they don't have a lot of consistent shooting. But Coach Udoka and company, they balled out.
Yeah, absolutely. Detroit and Houston. Yeah, they were. I remember my big miss from before the year. I thought the big jump would be the Charlotte Hornets. I thought this was their year, but it just never came. It is what it is. Detroit. I said that my prediction this year would they be twice as good as last year. So I thought they'd be a 30-win team this year, and they're almost there at the All-Star break. They have exploded my expectations. They've been absolutely fantastic. Houston Rockets, I said that they'd be good enough to be a playoff team, but I was thinking like they're barely sneaking in an absolute battle on the last day. They're comfy right now in the 4th seed. Like both of those teams, like Detroit has demolished my expectations, and Houston's also been better than I expected for sure. Indiana Pacers, I'm just mad at Tyrese Halliburton because I made the bold prediction on he'd be the 11th best player in the NBA, and he turned into a pumpkin. It is what it is. But overall, these are 3 teams just having terrific years.
Yeah, and I think when you look at them, they're all very different. You look at Houston, and Houston might be the most athletic team in the NBA. They have so many long defenders. Tari Eason, Amen, Smith, Dylan Brooks. Like they have so many long, rangy, athletic defenders that they just outwork you physically. And while Şengün's not terrific defensively, I think his best defense is his offense. When he gets in rhythm, he's a hard man to guard one-on-one. So I'm not going to say Houston can't go on a deep playoff run, but I think it's going to depend on their ability to make shots late in games.
No, absolutely. And I think you just kind of nailed the biggest disappointments, right? We already talked about the 76ers. Won't go in on them. But the Kings, they had just signed DeMar DeRozan. They signed, Mike Brown to that nice extension. This was supposed to be the year that they jump into like a top 4 seed, a lot of people thought. I think Mo and I had him barely sneaking it. Like, we had him at, like, the best play-in team.
Right.
So, they are definitely way underperforming our expectations. I thought this team had enough talent on it to be a play-in team, and they're barely hanging on to that bar. And their offense just hasn't been as good as advertised like you thought it would with all the talent that they had at the start of the year, and it got so bad that they lost the confidence of their franchise guy. So how can we consider anything but arguably the biggest disappointment? And then
it's got to be the Suns. I think when you go all in on Devin Booker, KD, I mean, I never thought I don't see Bradley Beal as part of a big 3. I think Bradley Beal is one of the most overrated players in the NBA. He's been exactly what I thought he would be for them. But you don't make that move, give up all those assets for Kevin Durant unless you think you have a shot to win a title. They've been a disappointment. And this season right now that we're in, they look like they're not going to even make the playoffs. Like, never mind the play-in or get knocked out in the first round. They're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and we talked about it. I've said on here before after the horrible trade deadline they had said this last week. I think Kevin Durant ass out, and now there's more and more reports saying that Kevin Durant and the Suns are most likely going to part ways this offseason. So it'll be interesting to see if that holds true. If so, where does Kevin Durant go again?
Well, we know where he's not going. He ain't going to Golden State.
If I were him, if he really cares about his legacy, like his legacy's pretty already set, but I think he would earn a lot of goodwill back with a lot of people if he went to like OKC and helped them win a title.
I feel like he has two places to go. You can go home, which makes the most sense, to OKC, or you can get over your little personal petty things or whatever, however you feel, and go back to Golden State and make another run. Like I don't know why that bothers him. Look, I get it. You'll never be as beloved as Steph, but you don't have to be as beloved to be better than him. You could be better than him. You could be the best player on that team. You'll get acknowledged for that credit. The problem with Kevin Durant is his mind goes too far into overthinking. He's like, if I win another title with Steph, they're going to go, I had to go back and get. Yes, there are going to be people that say that, but there's going to be people that love basketball and know basketball like you and I. All we're going to say is that guy went back there and was the best player in another finals run. That's what I'm going to say.
Right, and that almost is what makes it hard to figure out where KD wants to go, because KD almost like doesn't like he wants to have all the credit and praise and wants to be the guy. So it almost wants you to like disqualify anywhere where he wouldn't be the guy, or he'd have to share like anybody more loved than him. That's almost like a disqualification. So
then he can't go back to Oklahoma City because
yes.
Shea's the guy.
So it almost feels like Golden State and OKC are out. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with KD. Seems like every 2 years, KD wants another team chasing a winning team. Yeah. That's fair.
He can go to the Pelicans. They don't love Zion that much anymore.
Yeah, Zion makes me so mad. I do not. I'm not a Zion Williamson guy. When I did my predicting my top 30 players going into from 2025 to 2030, I think I left Zion off the list completely. The problem is Zion is like, if Zion actually shows up and plays to his full potential, then he's top 5 on that list, no doubt. But he never plays. He's getting fined for doing things like being late to team meetings and team planes. That just shows me he doesn't take this seriously. Be a franchise guy. Take it seriously. Show up and dominate. I want to put you on my list of best young players going forward list. And by talent alone, yeah, this dude easily should be arguably in the top 3. That's how good Zion Williamson is. But he's also starting to become like Vince Carter, where the idea of Zion Williamson is better than the actual Zion Williamson. Yeah. And I'll say that even after his 40-point game. Like, cool, congratulations. Now go actually dominate the rest of the season. But instead, what's going to happen? He's going to, rest up, the All-Star break. I've never felt better. Play like 5 games, then be out like another month with another hamstring injury.
I just think that franchise they've been so riddled with injuries to major players, starting with Zion. Actually, my favorite player on the Pelicans is Trey Murphy. Always has been. I think that Trey Murphy could be a superstar. He has that kind of talent. He really does. His only thing is he's got to make a better deal with the health gods. If the health gods turn and love Trey Murphy, he's going to make more all-star teams than Brandon Ingram ever would have made.
No, absolutely. A Clippers reunion with Harden for KD, that could work.
KD to the Clippers with Harden and Kawhi?
Why not?
I mean, I will say, if he goes to the Clippers, he does have a chance to be more beloved, because right now, even though the Clippers have been respectable this year, they don't necessarily love Harden. They're definitely frustrated with Kawhi. So, yeah, I guess I wouldn't rule that out. Here's how I feel. we both agree that KD's legacy is kind of set, but he could add a little capper to it if he go on another run. I hate when great players switch teams 7, 8. You know what I mean? When it starts getting way up there, like the way Shaq's career ended, I hate that. And I know what we said, but I hope should he move, it's either to accept the fact that Shea's the man, but you can still go back home and help Shea win a title, and that still would be a great thing on your resume, right? That still would matter on your resume. That would be OKC's first title, and that would matter. Even if you're not the main guy, who's to say that Shea won't be the leading scorer, but KD makes the game-winning shot? You feel me?
Yeah, I think that if KD went to OKC and they won a title, like I think KD would still be a better player than, even though I think he's an ascending player, I think he'd be better than J-Dub.
Yes.
I think he'd be.
Yes.
Now, this one's an interesting one. I think he would be better than Chet, but maybe not more impactful than Chet because of just how much Chet Holmgren means to that defense. Chet's an interesting one just because I think KD would flat out be the second best player on the team. But guys like Chet are interesting, Mo, because like on one hand, there's always going to be the guys that score more than guys like Chet. And they'll put up flashier numbers, but what he does for that defense, you almost make the argument, like right now for the Thunder, is J-Dub the second best player in a big three with him, Chet, and SGA, or is it Chet? Like,
for me, it's Chet. I think J-Dub's the better scorer, but Chet's the better player. Chet's the more important player. When you have Chet, especially when Hartenstein starts at center and you put Chet at the 4, and you have Chet coming from the weak side as a defender and a rebounder, and don't forget, Chet can step away and be effective from behind the arc. Like I think he's the jack of all trades. He is the jack of all trades for that team. He other than SGA, I think Chet is the one guy that should be untouchable. Untouchable. I know I'm with you. J-Dub is ascending, but I think Chet is more important.
That's fair. I do think that if Giannis does ask out, that the Thunder, that's exactly who the Thunder are going to offer. They're going to be like, so here's J-Dub on a max because, we got to match salaries, so we'll do a sign and trade with J-Dub and a ton of picks and other pieces. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens with OKC in the future. But, Kevin Durant was also in the news because of, Mr. Stephen A. Smith. So who does OKC give? Somehow, it's funny because Sam Presti would find a way to get KD for, like, Case and Wallace in, like, 3 distant seconds. So he's like a Jedi at this point. But, KD was also in the news because, he just scored 30,000 points. Only the 8th guy in NBA history to do that. So congratulations to KD.
Congrats.
Stephen A. started making the argument, and we kind of figured this was going to happen when he hit this milestone. KD now is a top 10 player in NBA history, Mo. True or false?
It's false. He's not. He is a top. If you say talent, he's a top 10 talent. But if we judge players in their careers on talent, Kyrie is a top 5 player on talent, right? We're talking about talent. But that's not how careers play out. We judge you not on your potential and your talent. We judge you on what you do throughout your career. Kevin Durant's great. And I anybody that wants to make the argument he's the most efficient scorer we've ever seen, I'm okay with that. I don't think he's the best scorer we've ever seen. I don't think he's the best player. I don't think he's one of the 10 greatest players of all time. Like I'm looking, I just scribbled down my top 10, and we did our top 10s, and we excluded the greats prior to the merger, right? We did that. But if we exclude those guys, I'm just throwing out names: Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Magic, Bird, Duncan, Kobe, Hakeem, Steph, Shaq. That would be the 10. you want KD in there. Who is he taking out? He's not taking out 3-time Finals MVP Shaquille O'Neal. He's not taking out Steph. Here's the thing about Steph. Yes, he's a 2-time MVP and a unanimous MVP, the first unanimous MVP. But Steph's in the top 10, and you know why? Because Steph Curry literally changed the game of basketball. That's why he's in the top 10. He helped change the game of basketball. You're not taking Steph out. You're not taking Bryant out. You're not taking KD over Tim Duncan. You're not taking him over Bird. I can go down the list. Who is he going to replace? And here's the crazy part. We took Russell and Chamberlain out. So I assume they're at 11 and 12. Is he replacing either one of them? No. He's a top 15 all-time player, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I think where I'd have KD, I think he's almost in that like 11 to 15 range, mixed in with guys like Dr. J. Where with guys like, who's another name? Kevin Garnett, I think, has a great argument for being in that 11 to 20 range.
Where's Dirk at?
Dirk's also probably. I think Dirk's probably like, off the top of my head, probably closer to probably somewhere between 15 and 20.
Okay.
I'm just very high on Kevin Garnett and who he was as a player and how he impacted.
I'm a big fan of the big ticket. I'm with you on that. And then, again, we're not killing KD. He's a great player. He's a great player.
I just love it when people think you're killing somebody because you don't think they're a top 10 player of all time. Like, oh no, you're one of the 15 greatest players to ever play the game. Like,
well, I think it's worse when people think you're killing somebody because you say he's the third greatest player of all time. Like, what? Third greatest? Like, yeah, man, the third greatest. Here's the thing that people have to wrap their minds around. At some point, Giannis and Joker's careers will come to an end. I'm just going to put it out there. We're going to have this conversation. When their careers come to an end, I do think the top 10 shifts. And I'm not trying to say who's going to leave, but somebody's leaving. At least 2 people. I'm just putting it out there.
No, I completely agree. Because Jokic, if he wins his 4th MVP, like, let's be real, how many people win 4 MVP? And good luck arguing him out of a top 10 list. That's going to be tough. If Giannis adds more hardware in the next 5 to 6 years, that's also going to be a tough argument.
Right, especially in a small market. Remember, to do it in a small market is insane, especially in this era. For him to do it twice, how do you keep him out of the top 10?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just saying, those guys, as weird as it seems, they will have better arguments than KD.
No, absolutely. I completely agree with that. Another fun basketball news, because this one kind of surprised me, Mo. Lonzo Ball got an extension. It surprised me because I thought they were going to look to trade him before the deadline, but instead they gave him a 2-year, $20 million extension. Absolutely great for Lonzo Ball.
I'm happy for him. He's one of those players that I root for because the guys that have the injuries to keep fighting back, you root for them. I love the way Sean Livingston's career played out once he was able to stay healthy. He wasn't just a guy; he was a major contributor on a dynasty, and I was happy for him. And I hope Lonzo has a similar path. I know they gave him an extension. I hope they're just giving him an extension to buy time to trade him, because I think Lonzo Ball is the kind of guy that if he's a piece on a title contender, he's going to help you win games. He's going to be part of that rotation that helps you win titles in a certain role, because you and I talked about this. I think he's great as a secondary ball handler, but he's underrated as a 3-and-D guy. I think he can be an elite 3-and-D guy.
No, I completely agree, and giving him that contract too does make it very possible for him to trade $10 million a year. That's easy to match for most teams. So I think it's temporary. I think he'll be on a contender by the end of, by the start of next year. Lonzo Ball will not be Chicago Bull, which is another team that Oh my gosh! Did you see what happened to them? The final score at halftime of like 71-29 at half.
I saw that, and that was such an embarrassment. That was, they weren't just playing bad. They quit. They stopped competing. That was embarrassing. Look, you can be embarrassed for the players, but if you're the head coach, what does that say about you?
Yeah. If I'm the Bulls, like, what's the plan going forward? Like, I don't understand even what Chicago's doing half the time, because like, you traded Levine, yes, but you also just gave a terrible contract to Patrick Williams. And, Vooch is also making pretty solid money, which I think you can trade Vooch. I think you trade Vooch and you're just stuck with Patrick Williams, but like literally every time I think they're about to rebuild and tear it down, they just make some other like absolutely stupid or wild move that just doesn't make sense with their timeline. I just don't know what the Bulls are doing half the time.
I don't know their identity, offensively or defensively. In most teams, you can say, this is our core. This is who we're building around. They're not building around anybody. They're not building around Vooch, because Vooch is in his early 30s. He's not part of their future. They're not building around Kobe White, who I think is terrific. But I think Kobe White, in his rightful role, he'd be your scoring six man coming off the bench. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's that kind of guy. He can be explosive offensively, but you don't build around Kobe White. And what are they going to do with old boy from Oklahoma City? He's going to be a free agent. What are they going to do with him?
Yeah, if I'm the Bulls, definitely just trade everybody that has any value, get as many picks. And hopefully with your new regime, you're just better at identifying talent. And when you do make a mistake, don't double down. Don't give Patrick Williams $90. So I think Patrick Williams, should he have gotten a second contract? Okay, fine if you're going to give him one. But for that much and that long, like, there's absolutely no way he played that well.
What did Patrick Williams do to deserve that kind of money?
Like, right, like, kind of asked the same when, like, the Lakers extended Max Christie, but even then, that was a $8 million a year contract. Like, okay, whatever. Even if he sucks, then it's only $8 million, and he's proved us wrong. Or he didn't even prove us wrong, but he's just played very well. When it comes to Patrick, Williams, I'm just like, what? Like, 5 years, 90? Like, what did? Who? Why? What?
They paid him money like, we're about to build around Patrick Williams. No, you're not. Patrick Williams is the most well-paid rotation player in the NBA. He's a rotation player with a $90 million contract.
You think
whoever drafted Patrick Williams, fired.
I'm just imagining his agent, as soon as that contract hit his desk, just sign it. I don't say anything.
100%. He's got the greatest agent in the world, the happiest agent on the planet. Yeah, look, I think Patrick Williams is a good basketball player, but a good basketball player doesn't get a $90 million contract.
No. Do you think Mark Williams gets bought out? No. The only reason I don't think that is, if anything, the Dalton Connect trade there showed he does have value around the league. And I think even if the physicals came back as shaky, I still think you can get something for him. You're just not going to get as much as you would have if the Connect trade went through. But that's so weird, by the way, that now they're trying to dispute it. So
are they? Who's disputing it? The Hornets?
Yeah, apparently the Hornets are now trying to dispute it. They're almost arguing that the Lakers have like buyer's remorse, that they saw the physicals. It went through, and then they changed their mind at the last minute. Like, it's so weird.
Right. The Lakers did their job. They took their medical staff, and they took staff from UCLA to do the medicals on him, and they looked at the man's body and realized he got the body of Mr. Glass.
Oh, and I didn't mean to pick on the Mavericks, Mo, anymore, but I forgot. But this is hilarious. This is the funniest report you'll ever hear, and I think this is the perfect last report to read off about it. According to a source with knowledge of the situation, the Dallas Mavericks didn't do a full physical on Anthony Davis before they put him on the court. on the court. Now they've reached out to the NBA to discuss the possibility of rescinding the trade.
What?
I saw that and I'm like, excuse me? What are they trying to do now?
Let it go, man. Now you look worse. Now you look worse.
Like when I tell you every single day, like they look worse, I'm not kidding, because something like that comes out, and now I'm just like, it's over. It's let it go, guys. You got Davis. It's over.
Right. You just shot yourselves in the foot. Let it go.
The Mavs' entire team's like injured, and I feel so bad for Jason Kidd. He gets blindsided by that trade, and now this, like his entire center rotation's out, and he literally said he's just going to play anybody there. Like, and I don't think he's kidding either. And I don't understand people, because they're like blasting him, like Omax had to play center. If anybody doesn't know who Omax is, he's like a third string power forward. And they're like, well, why is he playing? And I'm just like, they don't have anybody else. Like, who else? Like, PJ Washington's out. Anthony Davis out.
Lively's out. Gafford's out.
Dwight Powell's out. Literally every single, like, real forward and wing they have with actual size is out. Like, if Klay Thompson also wasn't out, I'm guessing he might play some center minutes. Like, that's how bad it is for them right now.
It is bad. Hell, Klay is 6'7". I'm just saying.
Yeah, they might, like, if the entire center rotation still hurt after the All-Star break and Klay's healthy, like, this is a guy that they wanted to guard power forwards anyway last year in Golden State. So maybe we'll see that, Kidd get desperate. It's really unfortunate. I feel bad for Coach Kidd, and this is a guy that I wasn't a big Coach Kidd fan just because of what he did in Milwaukee. Like, I didn't like his coaching in Milwaukee. I give him all the credit in the world. The one good thing he did, and it's a fantastic thing. So this is why I don't hate on him too much and don't really trash him ever. Was he a good overall coach? No, he was still learning. But the big thing that he did really was unlock the playmaking ability of Giannis, and that's been huge. So I'll forever thank him for that. And just the absolute growth that he's shown, though, from Milwaukee to leaving there on not so great terms, to reinventing himself, coming back with Dallas and leading a team to the Western Conference Finals, and then the following year, the Finals. Absolutely terrific. And he just doesn't deserve any of this.
No, I like what you said. You can clearly see the growth in Jason Kidd, where he started at and where he is now as a coach. He's more established. He's got a system in place. He's got assistants that he rely on. So I'm with you on that. This is such a tough year. Look, you're dealing with the biggest trade at the trade deadline, probably in NBA history, and you're on the wrong side of it. And you could tell by his reaction, Brett, he wanted no part of that. No part of it.
No, he did not say. But yeah, no, absolutely. That's kind of all I had for us today. We got the All-Star break this weekend, Mo. That hopefully will be fun. I know they actually, one last bit of news we got today before we get up on out of here. They scrapped the Sabrina versus Steph 3-point contest. They were teasing doing it a second year in a row.
Yeah, I was hyped for that.
It's not going to happen now. I thought the writing was on the wall as soon as it came out that Caitlin Clark said no, because I think they were really banking on her to kind of join in on the fun. So overall, it is sad that they canceled it. I'd love to see more WNBA players at skill competitions this year, though.
I'm disappointed, but I can understand. I like Sabrina's reasoning that she wanted to focus on uplifting the W, and I don't have no problem with that. Maybe we'll see it again somewhere down the line.
I think that it would only be fair if, why not next year have Steph go to the WNBA? Also,
I like that. I like that better. Yeah, I like your idea. I like that better.
I think it needs to be a symbiotic relationship. Like, yeah, we can send Sabrina, like convince Caitlin to go one of these years, but if you're gonna do that, throw them a bone. Send Steph Curry to the All-Star game. Send Klay Thompson or send some of these bigger name 3-point shooters to put more eyes on the product and, join in like the 3-point contest. I promise you, these ladies can shoot a basketball, so they will give you a better fight than you'd expect. I know a lot of people would be like, oh, like guys like Klay Thompson and Damian Lillard would, kill in the 3-point competition, but hey, these ladies got game. I think they'd give them a run for their money, kind of like how Sabrina really kind of put some pressure on Steph.
No doubt. They have incredible shooting range. I'd love to see if the NBA reciprocated and sent a couple of guys there, be it a Dame Lillard or Klay Thompson, even a Kyrie. I think Kyrie seems like the kind of guy that would love doing something like that. So, I think the relationship should be a little bit more back and forth, should be more symbiotic. I'm with you. So, I hope that's something that they engage in. Somebody comes up with that idea and go, hey, why don't a couple of your guys come here during our All-Star game weekend and participate in some of our events?
No, fair enough. So yeah, I'd say that's all we had for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. Mo, you got anything you want to add before we get up and out of here?
No, I just appreciate John and everybody up in the chat for showing out and showing up for us and engaging. We love that. So thank you guys so much. Make sure you guys come back next Thursday at 9. We'll be here talking more hoops. Brett will have more puppy prospects. We'll do our thing. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. We appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. You can catch Mo and I in like 12 hours from now, 11. We'll be on the morning show.
Double, baby. Double.
Absolutely. And of course, you can catch us next Tuesday on Meaty Boys. So for everybody who tuned in, thank you for tuning in, John. I hope to see you next time. And for everybody else, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day and have a great weekend.
Thank you for tuning in to the And One podcast. If you like our content, you can find more on the Wire to Wire Podcast Network on YouTube, Facebook, and Spotify. Want more And One? Find it on Wire to Wire. Like and share our Facebook page and join the And One Discord. Grab the link to join from our Facebook. Thank you for tuning in and have a wonderful day.